Hey there and welcome. I'm Cindy Daychuk with Queen Bee Creations and welcome to the channel. So disclaimer up front because I had somebody else that posted, man, your place is a mess. This is my workshop. It is always a mess. There are always millions of projects on the go. It's an organized mess, but behind the camera is like a huge big stack of unfinished furniture. So it's neat at the front where the shop is, where you can come and you can shop. Back here, you know, we've got classes going, we've got all kinds of stuff and definitely projects for you to be able to turn your hand to. Now, today's project's gonna be a little bit different because I am going to want to turn the camera as much as I'm able. I'm gonna try and fake it to show a close-up of what I'm doing because it's a little bit more close-up work. But I'm going to tell you about it first. I have recently started playing with alcohol inks. This is not something that I've done before. I am not an expert at this, but I figure if I'm getting kind of cute results, then y'all are going to get them too. So it's not like I'm a major artist. I've been doing this for years. I'm getting cute stuff, and we're gonna start doing some classes in the shop, so I thought you might wanna give it a try. So alcohol inks are what they sound like. They are alcohol-based inks. Mostly the painting that you do with them is done by blowing the ink around. So this is where if you are not able to draw, this is the kind of painting for you. I'm in that category. Everything that I draw looks like, you know, one of my grandkids drew it, right? I am not a good real life artist, like meaning I can't draw real life stuff. But I can do some cute stuff with alcohol inks. So I thought that I would take the opportunity to share. We are gonna be working on tiles. So these are just, we're doing the 4x4 white tiles that you would put up in your bathroom, in your kitchen. They are super cheap. Okay, so you could play with this on bigger tiles to be able to do trivets, anything like that. Because the nice thing about it is that if you don't like what you've done, you just spritz it with alcohol, wipe it clean, and start again. So unlike the alcohol ink paintings on paper, you're not wasting the paper. And the paper is special paper because it has to resist the ink so that it moves and floats across the top. So most of the paper is Yupo paper, kind of plastic paper or plastic coated. If you're doing it on canvas, you gotta specially treat it. So we're starting with something that we can't mess up because we can clean it. So I'm gonna do two versions. One is this kind of version, which is a cute little flower, 3 colors. As I'm saying that, I'm going, I didn't get the other color out. So it's just 3 colors. I'm just using a dark color in the middle and then a little bit of ink, which I'll show you at the end, like pen ink, to be able to do some of the fine detail. But just a blown out flower, super cute, and this is with me not really knowing what I'm doing. The other one doesn't look nearly as interesting. I'm just gonna two-tone this, but what I thought that I would do to be able to show is we're going to stamp over it at the end. So I'm just doing kind of a sky and grass, nice and simple, and I'm gonna stamp it. So we'll play a little bit with that to be able to see how we can mix some media. And we're just turning these into coasters. So we'll talk about finishing them when we get finished. But to start with, I just wanna kind of move you in closer so you can see what I'm doing, and we'll try and blow out a flower together. Now, I am doing this using no special equipment, just the alcohol and the alcohol ink. And for the alcohol, you can get it from your local drugstore, just 99%. It has to at least be over 90%. So watch out for some of the rubbing alcohol that is much less. So like 99% alcohol. If you find that that overwhelms you, then do it in a well-ventilated area. Some people, if you're really doing a lot or a closed area, they'll wear a mask. I'm in a big, huge open studio here, not a problem, but just bear in mind, you don't want to be like sniffing this super close. So if you open this, pour out what you need and close it off. Usually it's best to pour it off into just a small little squirt bottle. So I have this, or just these kinds of squirt bottles from your local drugstore or something. Don't go crazy with anything. To blow this around, you will see demos on YouTube, and they are using little air guns, right? Like the electric ones, or they're using something like this, right? Where you're able to pump it across. This is awesome. The air gun's awesome. I am willing to bet you're not sitting there with those at home. So we're gonna use a straw. You all have access to a straw, or can get one easily and really cheaply. So we're gonna go on the down low on this so that it's accessible for you. And then you can see how much you fall in love with this and decide where you wanna go from there and upgrade to this baby or upgrade to an air blower, your call. We're gonna go super simple because that's more likely where you're gonna start. And it gives you a good place to start to play with this. So before you invest in any of the expensive papers, we're gonna do it on tile and we're gonna see how it goes. So hang on, I'll move you in and we'll start together. Okay, let's start with the easiest one first. We're gonna do the blue and green. And again, for yours, you could do this interspersing with other colors and totally random, just blow them around, play with how they move. Great way to go. I'm just looking at showing you a couple of other things. So I have 99% isopropyl alcohol in this bottle, and I am just going to drop on, and this is a Pinata ink by Ranger. Sorry, this is a Ranger ink by Tim Holtz, and I have them on the website, Queen Bee Creations Home. You can get them at Michael's, whatever. I'm a little cheaper, you could check it out. I'm just going to now blow this around in all of that alcohol that I have down on there. So I'm just looking at creating some ripple effects. You know, again, I like having a little bit of white space, so. And you might want to move the tile around. You're gonna find if you're using the straw that you wanna turn the straw away if you're gonna be breathing in, or breathe in away from the straw, and then move your head back down to it. I think I want a little bit over here, so I'm just going to add another little drop of ink. You can see that you do not need very much ink. Not the most exciting demo, I know, because I can't talk and blow at the same time. But you can see just moving the straw around, getting some of those random patterns. That's all I was after. Now here, I'm being careful not to put my alcohol right up against the blue, because it would start moving the blue before I get my green down. So I'm using a Limeade from Ranger and Mermaid from Ranger. Those were the two colors for this. Now I quite like where these guys blend. It creates a bit of a darker green. And because I'm gonna be stamping over this, I'm just looking to give this, using the alcohol inks to create a background. of this. We're gonna deal with the sides, and so no worries on anything that goes over. You will see a lot of people use gloves because alcohol inks stain. If you're doing this on a glass coffee table or something, then great, clean up as a breeze. Just spritz on some alcohol and wipe it away, so it'll clean away perfectly. Otherwise, you might want to put something down so it doesn't stain whatever surface. But for that blue-green effect that's going to work for our next stamping over. And again, you could do this with one or two colors, creating something kind of loose and flowy, and then do your stamping over top before you seal it, whichever you would like, or just create kind of a nice flowing pattern, you know, a little bit of maybe some brown and some of the blues, and creating a bit of a beach kind of scene. I mean, whatever works. So I'm just thinking of stamping maybe some sprigs over top. So you'll see what I'm talking about when I get to that. All right, now you'll see that I kept my lids lined up behind my bottles, just because you don't want to be putting the blue lid on the green, because then when you go to squirt the green, you're going to have blue coming out. So I just keep them lined up behind them so that I stand a chance at being able to kind of keep them a little bit pure. Now, just cleaning this towel off a little bit. It was kind of settled in. Now, the next ones, the flowers, are a little bit more technical. They're a little bit pickier, and for the interest of the demo, because you don't want to sit here and wait for ink to dry, I'm going to use a heat gun just to be able to dry the ink. So bear with the little bit of noise. So this is a Pinata Burro Brown color, and I'm just going to dry that a little bit before I lay the other colors down, because they're going to want to merge. If you're using the heat gun to dry any of your inks on your Yupo paper, make sure that you're constantly moving it around, because the Yupo paper is plastic and you can melt it. The second color I'm using is called Valencia, which, as you might expect, is an orange color. And I'm just going to lay this down and just kind of dry it a little bit. And I'm going to add in a raspberry color. These last two colors, both the Valencia and the raspberry, are from the Ranger line. Okay. I found that when I'm doing this on tile, I have to add inks in again later. You can see that blowing it out, adding the alcohol and blowing it out will create white spots. I quite liked it on this flower, but you're gonna find that you need to add some back in. If you were doing it on paper, it tends to stick onto the paper a little bit better. Here it moves a lot more easily. So to be able to create some of these petals, what we're going to do is drop some of our alcohol down onto our ink. And I find, so watch as I'm doing this, I find that it's easier to move it in the direction I want if I also drag the alcohol in that direction. And then we're going to gently blow. So it's not a fast movement. I'm just letting the ink flow and do its own thing. And you'll see that raspberry color kind of almost turns purple. It's one of the color changing colors. It does its own thing. So I'm starting with my ink further out of the dots, and then I'll move it in closer toward the center as we go. And you'll see I'm kind of tilting the tile to let the gravity kind of work for me as well. So, kind of got around. Now we're just going to start filling in, and we just keep going around, layering our colors over top of each other until we're happy with the result. As you can see, now we start going in between, and I'm going a little bit higher up, right into where I laid down that burro brown. And you can see how that petal starts to lay over the other petal. But you can also see I'm getting a lot more white space. So that's where I may end up going and adding more color in there. Here's one of those spots where I don't have a lot of color here to be able to add in. So I'm going to drop a little bit in, and I'm just going to heat gun it so that I can carry on a little bit faster to be able to show. But while I'm at it, whoops, that was a big drop. That was unexpected. But it's all okay. And then we just keep carrying on, adding more layers. Okay, and I'm gonna leave that because I see, I'm gonna leave that because I see a nice center here where I'm gonna be able to use my inks to be able to add a little bit of definition in there, and that's gonna help make it pop. I had said at the beginning that my plan had been to stamp on these. Really what my plan had been was I had planned on maybe drawing some flowers on them like I've done on these watercolor bookmarks. So I had applied watercolor onto these, and then I had hand drawn these florals. And I was planning on doing the same thing on this on a smaller scale. But as much as I may still do that, I might have lost some of you who said, yep, not doing that. Can't do that. So what I thought instead is that this is the new IOD Sprigs stamp. And so what I thought was, why not instead admit that we don't all want to be drawing those tiny little things on here all the time. So I thought if we took some of the sprigs instead, we could get the same concept, the same idea. So I don't need to stamp the whole way on this. I just need to stamp the lower part, the upper part that's going to be showing. Now I did bounce, and that's not a good thing when you're doing stamps, but it turned out okay. So let me try and do that a little more smoothly. And you just want to make sure that you push down on all of the spots. Okay, that's looking pretty cute actually. I'll hold it up closer so that you can see when that's done. But I am quite liking that. Okay. So you see how that looks? So that's pretty cute. And this is just, again, this is a really non-technical, non-skilled tile that already still looks very cute. Let me show you the flowers, because you can see that these are missing some of the definition of these ones. And it's all about doing the center. And so for this, because it's fairly fine detailed work, I use some gel pens. And this is just a set of pens in black that does it. Now, you could, so this is like non-fading pigment pens, and they come in different sizes. So that one's gonna be too big. Well, that one would be okay for the centers. You could use Sharpies, right? You just don't want to do something alcohol-based, because these will reactivate with the alcohol. Even though they're dry, if I squirt them with alcohol, that's gonna start moving the ink around. So in which case, you're gonna want to, looking at which one to demo with here, and you guys can see. So what you might do is start with your Sharpie and just kind of color in the black a little bit of a center area. If you can see on this one, you can see I did the center in black, but then I also did white dots on it to give a little bit more distinction. So we're just deepening the tone a little bit by adding a little bit of that ink in there. And I'm gonna just kind of follow the natural flow. I've got a little bit of a haze from the lights, a little challenging for me to be able to see. So that at the very least, and then I've got a white gel pen that I need to make sure is working. Okay, sorry, this one's thicker. I'm gonna take the thicker one. And I'm just going to dot it to just kind of create a little bit of texture and a little bit of distinction in that center area. You know how you get all of those dots from maybe some of the pestles, or so you can see already, I'm hoping without the glare there, that that's starting to add a little bit of definition, just doing those two things. The other thing that I do is I take one of my finer pens, maybe this, 0.05, and I just outline in a little bit of black here and there some of those petals, just to create a little bit of distinction. And I don't tend to do it way out. I tend to do it just mostly in the center, in those earlier areas, and adding a little bit of detail. And again, I'm letting the ink dictate to me where any of those lines would go, because I'm following the natural flow of that ink. A little bit of that detail taking shape, and let me show you the unfinished one and kind of the comparison. Can you see how this side just started to really highlight? And can you see where on this side you'd really start to add in that black and a little bit of that definition, so that you get a little bit more of that sense of that flower. Okay, so let's talk about finishing these off. You know, one of the things that you're going to want to do is to finish off the edges. And for this, just take a black paint marker and fill that in. So just use a broad tip and just do across it, or perhaps a gold one if that suits your piece better, depending upon what colors you've used. Okay? You will find that the pros at this that are selling a lot of their work, they will coat these in resin, which again gives a really slick, shiny surface. It's protecting the art with cups and all that kind of stuff. But I'm doing these in classes within the studio, and we can't do that. There's no way that everybody would get the resin properly mixed, in which case then it wouldn't set, and it has to set overnight, and then they'd have to come back to pick other pieces. So logistically, we can't do that. If you were doing your alcohol inks on paper, you would actually spray them with an archival spray like this, because they are UV sensitive. So I have this one, which is a gloss, and I'm going to seal my pieces with this a couple of times. And then if I choose, I could add I could still do a resin on top if I wanted. I could do other kinds of polyacrylics or varnishes, but at least then the polys aren't going to be discoloring my tiles so much. I would probably say this protectorant, you know, this is for like museum quality and preventing moisture and discoloration and those kinds of things. So we're going to be spraying them. The other piece that I like to do is I like to get these, and I will drop the link to these. I just get them off Amazon. They are thin little corkboard sheets that happen to be in the same 4x4 size. They're just slightly smaller, and they are lovely peel and stick. So you're able to peel and stick them onto the back of your coasters so that they're not going to scratch any of your tabletop, and you're going to have a nice surface to be able to use these in your home. So I hope you give this a try. This is one of the simplest ways. I mean, you know, yeah, you can watch 1,000,001 YouTube videos on this, and trust me, I do, because it's fascinating and it's beautiful. But there is a lot of skill. There's a lot of skill involved in kind of learning how the ink moves and how it flows. It is definitely different on papers. It does not happen on just any paper because most papers will soak it in. I will give you the heads up that most photo papers, you're thinking, oh, the nice glossy surface, it'll slide. The glossy surface on photo papers are designed to absorb the ink, so you will just get big splotches of your ink. But the other thing that I'll mention is a little of this goes a long way. So they may seem like they're kind of pricey, you know, in the Ranger line, which I have in the store, they sell primarily in like the 3-packs, but you are using little drops of them. So they go a lot further than you think. The little bottle should last you through a lot of projects. And we do have some other projects coming your way. I know that I did an Easter egg with the alcohols, so go back and you can check that, or wait until Easter and check it out then. But I have a super cool Christmas ball class coming up, and I'll probably do a quick tutorial on that one as well, using alcohol inks. You guys are gonna love it. So if you invested in some of the inks, I'm gonna be coming out with tons more projects and ways for you to be able to use them that you're gonna love. But just starting to do tiles and starting to do, you know, some of the designs on the papers and things, you're gonna love this. Let me know if you give it a try. I wanna see some pictures in the comments if you do. And again, if this is something that you do a lot of, drop in your tips and your hints for the other folks that are watching the video and that are thinking of it. I am not an expert, so I am just starting to play with these things. So if you got tips, I'd love to hear them. I'm sure everybody else would too. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, I'm Cindy Daychak. Take care.